Beneath all the noise of the world, beneath diagnoses, fears, and even the words that made you believe you were weak, there is another voice. This voice does not speak in the language of medicine, nor does it use scalpels or prescriptions. It speaks through silence. It is not outside of you, but deep within. It is the doctor of the soul, the one who has waited for you since birth. You do not need to go searching for him. You only need to listen. When the mind grows quiet, you can feel something gently moving in your body. Not a cell, not a thought, but a living intelligence. A small light continues to breathe within everyone, waiting to be awakened by faith. Every breath you take in, every thought you plant, is a signal to that doctor. The body is not an enemy, it is a doorway. And when you treat it with love, that door opens. There is a long-held mistake humanity carries. They believe healing comes from the outside. They put their faith in medicine, in diagnoses, in predictions of illness, and forget that the body was born to balance itself. The body does not fight against you. It only follows the commands you send to it in silence. Every complaint, every self-deprecating word, every silent fear is an order. When you say, "I am tired," the body listens. When you repeat, "I am exhausted," the cells remember. But if you say, "I am at peace," "I am recovering," "I am life-flowing," those same cells will hear and they will change direction. The doctor within does not need your pleading. He only needs your command spoken with faith. Imagine there is a lamp placed in your heart since childhood. You have covered it with worry, with doubt, with countless words of self-blame, yet that lamp has never gone out. It waits to be seen, waits to be called by name. Every method, every religion, every school of healing is merely a finger pointing toward that light, but only you can touch it. When you begin to believe that your body can hear your words, when you speak to it with gratitude, miracles begin to move. It is no coincidence that the ancients taught that the word holds creative power. The words you speak do not only reach others' ears, they touch every cell of your own being. Every sound, every thought, every breath carries vibration. When that vibration is filled with love and faith, it becomes a creative command. And when the command is clear enough, the body obeys like a child listening to its mother. No effort is needed, no begging, only trust and repetition. The doctor within requires no ritual. He is not in hospitals, nor in books. He is in your heartbeat, in the first breath of morning, in the short nap at noon. In every moment you pause and say, "I am alive. I am healing." When you say this, a new current of energy is activated, soft as water, yet stronger than any medicine. The body is not a cold machine. It is a temple. Each cell is a devotee, and you are the priest of that temple. What you speak, it performs. What you believe, it reflects. Someone may ask, if the body truly listens, why do we still get sick? Because most of the time, we speak through fear. We say, "I don't want pain. I'm afraid of this. I'm so tired. I can't." And the subconscious does not understand negation. It only hears the emotional core. When you say, "I don't want pain," it only hears pain. When you say, "I don't want fear," it only hears fear. That is why you must change the language within. Speak what you desire, not what you dread. Speak in the imagery of life, not of suffering. Each morning when you wake, before touching the world, touch yourself. Place your hand on your chest, breathe deeply and whisper, "Within me is an intelligence that heals. I trust it. I cooperate with it." No ceremony is needed, only sincerity. Then at night, before sleep, say, "Thank you, body, for working today. Thank you, heart, for beating. Thank you, lungs, for breathing. Thank you, every cell, for restoring in silence." In that very moment, the doctor within hears and begins his work. The body does not distinguish between loud or soft words, it only hears the feeling beneath them. A trembling word of fear is stronger than a dry affirmation. Therefore, you need not force belief. You only need to speak with genuine gratitude. For gratitude is the language the body understands best. When you are grateful, every organ relaxes, every nerve is comforted, every cell opens to receive light. When you learn to speak to your body with love, you are rewriting your own holy scripture, not with words, but with vibration. Every breath becomes a prayer, every heartbeat becomes a hymn, every moment of peace becomes a healing ritual. You need not wait for miracles. The miracle is already in how you speak, how you think, how you believe. Perhaps you have never heard that doctor answer, but observe, and you will see a wound closes faster, a pain softens, a night's sleep deepens. That is how he replies, not through words, but through the actions of life itself. And when you give thanks for that, you open the door to more miracles. The outer world can name the symptoms, but only the inner world knows the cause. And it is there that true healing begins. No diagnosis is stronger than the belief you hold. No medicine is more potent than the faith you plant in each cell. When you tell the body it is well, it begins to believe so. When you say, "I am life," life begins to flow. And when you say, "I thank you," the energy of the universe responds. In the deepest sense, there is no disease, only signals waiting to be heard. There is no weak body, only consciousness not yet awakened. And there are no miracles outside, only the remembrance within that you have never been separated from the source of divine energy. That doctor is none other than your own soul. When you speak, he listens. When you believe, he acts. And when you give thanks, he smiles. From this day forward, speak to your body in the voice of light. Whisper to it as you would to an old friend. Call each part of yourself by name with gentleness. For in that very moment, healing begins not from the outside in, but from the inside out. Not through fear, but through love. Not through pleading, but through the ancient remembrance that you are already whole. You do not need to become anyone else to be healed. You only need to return to your essence, where the doctor within still waits, still listens, and still loves you through the silence of God. The body is not a blind machine controlled by genes or fate. It is a faithful student, listening to every thought, every emotion, every word you speak. It does not resist, it does not doubt, it does not argue. It simply follows the orders you send it in silence. Every heartbeat, every breath, every small movement within the body is a response to a program written by the mind. And the miracle is that this program can be rewritten at any time by a single decision of consciousness. When you understand that the body is not against you, you stop looking at it with fear. You no longer say, "I am sick," but instead ask, "What have I taught my body that it behaves this way?" Because illness is not the enemy, it is a lesson left unfinished. The body is merely repeating the commands the mind has transmitted over the years. Every complaint, every worry, every negative belief becomes a lesson that the inner student is memorizing. If you tell it that life is stressful, it will remember. If you tell it that happiness is hard to reach, it will believe. But if you begin to say that the body is light, that it is intelligent, that it knows how to recover, you are opening for it a new classroom, the classroom of life. The body does not understand the language of reasoning. It does not analyze, it does not speculate. It understands through emotion and repetition. Just like a child learning to speak, it needs to hear the truth again and again until a new reflex is formed. Therefore, if you wish to teach it peace, you must live in that rhythm of peace every day. If you wish to teach it strength, you must stop retelling the old story of pain. Because each time you say, "I am always tired," "I am never well," "I was born weak," you are rewriting the old program, and the body, the faithful student, will simply follow, It does not know if you are joking or serious. It only knows that its master has given a command. Every cell in you is like a small student looking up, waiting to hear the teacher's voice. When that voice is filled with love, they open, breathe in light, and work in harmony. When that voice is filled with fear, they contract, defend, and fall into disorder. The difference does not lie in medicine, but in the signals you send. There are people who carry old wounds, but through faith and patience, they speak to their bodies every day as they would to a friend. I understand you. I know you are healing. And then the body begins to believe. It believes in the teacher it always hears in the mind. When you understand this relationship, you realize that the body never betrays you. It has no intent to harm you, no plot against you. It merely reflects what you believe about yourself. If you believe that life is a battle, the body will always stay in defense. If you believe that you are protected, the body will relax. If you believe that each day is an opportunity for rebirth, it will begin to act as if it were true. The student can only be as good as the teacher, and the mind is the teacher training it every hour, every minute. You can verify this in every small reaction of daily life. When you are angry, blood rushes to your face and your heart beats faster. When you are anxious, your breath becomes shallow and your muscles tighten. When you are happy, your heartbeat is steady, your skin glows, and every organ seems to work smoothly. This is not magic. It is the natural response of the student to the lesson of the mind. Every emotion is a command. Every thought is a lesson. And the body learns quickly, especially the things repeated often. If you have ever said, "I have tried but nothing changes," it may be because you have not spoken long enough. Just as a student needs time to memorize the alphabet, the body also needs time to learn the language of health. No learning happens overnight. Healing is a process of re-education. It requires patience, gentleness, and consistency. Each day, with just a few minutes of speaking to your body, telling it you trust it, you love it, you are grateful for it, and you want it to be strong, you are rebuilding the entire biological belief system within. There is one simple yet absolute law: the body cannot deny itself. If you say, "I am afraid," it activates the defense mechanism. If you say, "I am safe," it triggers the relaxation system. If you say, "I am old," it begins to slow down. If you say, "I am growing younger," it listens and restructures. That belief is the language every cell understands. You do not need to force it. You only need to re-educate it with new words. And as a wise student, it will absorb them. Begin with observation. When the body sends a signal of pain, do not scold it. Ask, "What are you trying to teach me?" When you feel tired, do not punish it with anger. Say, "I hear you. I will let you rest." Because every symptom is a question the student sends to the teacher. If the teacher reacts with fear, the student panics. But if the teacher responds with calm, the student relaxes and adjusts itself. The body never opposes you. You have simply forgotten its language. That language is not rational. It is emotional and visual. Speak in the voice of the heart, not the intellect. Imagine what you want the body to feel: radiant skin, a peaceful heart, lungs full of air, a straight spine. Then repeat that vision every day as a scientific prayer. The body hears it and begins to adjust to the image you maintain. Treat every morning as a small lesson. When you open your eyes, whisper, "Today, we learn about lightness." When you walk, say, "We learn how to move freely." When you eat, say, "We learn how to receive energy with joy." And when night falls, say, "Thank you, my student, for doing well today." This is not merely a ritual, it is the practice of harmony. When the teacher teaches with love, the student grows in wisdom. The body is your most loyal ally. It never abandons you, even when you despise it. It still breathes, digests, and heals in silence, just so you may have the chance to return. Begin today with a gentle word. Thank you. I know you are trying. Do not underestimate those words. They are seeds planted in the soil of the subconscious. And with every repetition, that soil becomes more fertile, ready for a harvest of health. The body is a student, but also your silent teacher. It teaches you the lessons of patience, of listening, of self-respect. When you learn from it, you are not only the healer, you are also the one being healed. And when this understanding becomes your daily breath, you will realize that everything within you, from thoughts to cells, is singing one song, the song of life being taught, being learned, and being reborn every moment in the gentle silence of God. Amid the countless invisible movements within the body, there exists a silent yet absolute law. What the mind believes, the body performs. Not through magic, but through the precise mechanism of life itself. Every thought is an electrical current, every emotion a chemical signal, every word a biological command sent into the neural network. The body does not know how to pretend or jest. It only understands the language of vibration. Therefore, when you say, "I am weak," that command is recorded in every cell. When you say, "I am healing," that signal is instantly transmitted, triggering a chain of restorative reactions. The mind commands, the word operates, the biology responds. This is the immutable circle between consciousness and matter, the circle the ancients called the law of mind, word, biology. No one can escape this law, for it is the mechanism of life itself. You may deny belief, but you cannot deny its effect. Faith is not merely a religious sentiment, it is the energy that reorganizes the body according to the image held by the mind. When you believe that you are healing, the body begins to release chemicals aligned with that belief. When you believe you are powerless, the body releases the toxins of stress and fear. Thus, faith is not confined to spirituality. It is an exact science, the science of reactions governed by consciousness. Words are the bridge between thought and body. Each time you speak, sound vibrates through the air, but before it touches the world, it touches you. The sound waves pass through your vocal cords, through your heart, through your blood and nerves, and within every cell, they become messages. If those words carry fear, the cells contract. If they carry love, the cells expand. That is why, within the same body and the same circumstance, two different people can have two different outcomes. One believes he is dying, another believes he is healing, and their bodies obey those beliefs as commands. Some people spend their entire lives fighting symptoms, forgetting that symptoms are merely replicas of old thoughts. You cannot heal a result through action if the cause lies in belief. Every biological change begins with a change in thought. The body does not react to the world, it reacts to the image you hold of the world. When you change that image, every chemical reaction follows suit. That is why words can become medicine and silence can become disease. The ancients called words seeds, and every word planted in the mind blossoms into a reaction within the body. A person who repeats, "I can't take this anymore," will find their body tightening, their digestion disturbed, their heartbeat quickening because the mind has ordered the body to prepare for battle. Another who repeats, "I am at peace," will find the heart steady, the breath slower, the immune system restored. There is no coincidence here, only the feedback law of faith. When you understand this law, you realize that prayer is not a ritual, but the science of directed intention. Each prayer is a command sent into the subconscious, and the subconscious executes precisely what you believe. If you pray in fear, you command your body to remain afraid. But if you pray in faith that what you ask for is already accomplished, the body immediately adjusts to match the frequency of that result. Therefore, the truest prayer is not a plea, but an affirmation. Not, "Please let me be healed," but, "The life within me is healing all things." Not, "Please give me peace," but peace already dwells within me. This is not imagination, it is the science of faith in motion. Modern science has proven that every emotion alters the chemistry of the blood. A fearful thought can raise heart rate, increase cortisol levels, and disrupt immunity. A loving thought can activate endorphins, serotonin, and oxytocin, the hormones of healing and calm. When you say, "I love life," you are activating the pharmacy within. When you say, "I am tired of living," you are injecting yourself with an invisible poison. Faith is no longer a mystery, it is the conscious regulation of your inner biochemistry. Each day, billions of cells in you are listening to your inner dialogue. If that dialogue is tense, they function in survival mode. If it is trusting, they function in regeneration. The difference between illness and health often lies in the difference between two commands. One is the command to contract, the other to open. And the one who gives the command is you. The body does not choose, it simply follows the rhythm of the mind. Faith requires no ritual, only alignment between thought, word, and emotion. When these three become one, you create a frequency strong enough to alter biological structure. The mind creates the image, the word carries that image into vibration, and emotion transforms it into command. And the body, perfectly faithful, manifests it. That is the formula behind every miracle. The mind imagines, the word affirms, the emotion believes. There is no waiting, only the simultaneity of faith and result. Many ask why their faith seems ineffective, because they believe only with the intellect while fearing with the heart. They say, "I believe I will heal," yet inside, another voice whispers, "I'm afraid I won't." The body does not hear words, it hears frequency, and that frequency comes from genuine feeling, not empty speech. When you say, "I am well," but your heart races in fear, the body obeys the heart, not the mouth. Therefore, the secret is not in the words themselves, but in the energy behind them. Let each word you speak be accompanied by the feeling of truth. Speak slowly, feel every syllable, so that each sound becomes a stream of light entering the body. Faith is the science of resonance. When mind, word, and biology sing the same melody, the body becomes the perfect instrument of the soul. There is no conflict, no resistance, only harmony. Then a wound becomes an opportunity for restoration. A pain becomes a reminder to return to center. Every breath becomes proof that power is still working within you. And when you say, "I believe," you are not speaking to the sky, you are speaking to your nervous system, calling it back to the original order of God. The law of mind, word biology, is not something to believe blindly, but to observe. Each time you change a thought, the body changes with it. Each time you change your words, your breathing shifts. Each time you forgive, your blood flows more freely. Each time you feel gratitude, your heart beats in rhythm. This is not metaphor, it is mechanism, and that mechanism operates everywhere, all the time. From this day forward, let your faith become a living experiment. Speak to your body in the language of truth, in the frequency of gratitude, in the breath of love. Observe how it responds, and keep repeating until the miracle becomes habit. For there is no limit except the limit of belief. The mind commands, the word opens the path, the biology listens. And within that unity, you are not only healing the body, you are learning again how to be human, how to be God in the form of life itself. Every word spoken does not stop in the air. It touches the blood, travels through the nerves, and reaches every cell. The body does not hear through the ears, it hears through vibration. And the vibration of words is what shapes the chemistry within you. When you speak gently, your nervous system releases healing hormones. When you speak in anger, your body releases the toxins of stress. Every sentence, every word, every sound becomes a biological reaction. This is not a sacred metaphor, it is physical reality. Words are chemistry spoken aloud. Your body is a sophisticated laboratory, and the mind is its chief chemist. Each time you open your mouth, you are creating a formula. I am tired is the formula for acid. I am at peace is the formula for nourishment. I am afraid is the signal that produces cortisol. I am grateful is the signal that activates endorphins. These reactions do not wait for your belief, they happen the moment sound is formed. That is why speech is not merely expression. It is the tool that controls the entire biological system. Whatever you say, your body produces the corresponding chemical. Neuroscience has proven that when people speak positive words, the areas of the brain related to safety and connection become more active. The immune system responds better, the heartbeat stabilizes, and new cells are produced more rapidly. But when you speak negative words, the brain's fear centers are triggered, blood vessels constrict, and the body enters survival mode. A single word is enough to alter your chemistry. So each day, when you speak to yourself, are you creating medicine or poison? Some think words are just wind, weightless and fleeting. But in truth, each carries its own energy, and that energy is stored in the water, in the cells, in the neural structure. The human body is more than 70% water, and water remembers vibration. If a word can change the crystalline structure of water, it can also change your own structure, for you are a river carrying countless messages. When you say, I love, the water within you glows. When you say, I hate, it clouds. This is the chemistry of the word, where sound becomes molecule, where language becomes flesh and blood. Remember, the body does not distinguish between the words you speak to others and those you speak to yourself. It only hears vibration. When you say, I'm stupid, the body reacts as if it were true. When you say, I can't, the brain stops forming new connections. But when you say, I'm learning, I can, I am enough, the body responds by expanding. The nerves open, the hormones balance, and the entire system begins to act according to what you have just declared. Thus, words do not only define the world, they define your biology. Observe those who live in gratitude. Their faces are relaxed, their voices warm, and they recover faster from illness. Because words of thanks generate oxytocin, the hormone of connection and healing. Those who constantly complain, even if healthy, often feel weary. Complaints activate adrenaline and cortisol, keeping the body on alert. One sentence can alter your blood chemistry within seconds. Once you understand this, you will speak less, slower, and with greater awareness. Words are the wand of the alchemist within you. Each time you speak something positive, you are transmuting the heavy metal of fear into the gold of peace. But when you speak something negative, you reverse that process, turning gold into lead, light into shadow. The body does not argue, it obeys. When you say, I am withering, it contracts. When you say, I am blooming, it grows. And between those two sentences lies an entire universe of shifting chemistry. You don't need to be a scientist to understand this, just notice how you feel after each word. A positive statement makes you breathe deeper, your eyes brighten, your heart feels lighter. A negative statement makes your shoulders heavy, your neck stiff, your breath shallow. This is biology proof that words don't only go outward, they go inward. When you say, I love myself, you send a signal that activates restoration. When you say, I'm useless, you send a signal that halts life. If you want to change your body, begin by changing your language. Language is not just a tool of communication, it is a tool of programming. Each sentence is a line of biological code. Use words like medicine, in the right dose, at the right time, with the right energy. Every morning, saying, I am full of energy, is not self-deception. It is a signal for the endocrine system to adjust. Each night, saying, I am at peace, is not a spiritual habit. It is a signal for the nervous system to regenerate. This is the chemistry of the word, where faith is quantified through biological reaction. No word is ever lost in space. All of them remain within the cells, within the water, within the body's memory. Thus, when you choose to speak gently, you are choosing a peaceful biology. When you choose loving words, you are choosing the chemistry of life. And when you choose silence at the right moment, you allow the body to rest, to rebalance, to hear again its own rhythm. Those who know how to use words are like those holding the key to an infinite laboratory. They know that one sentence can save a person or wound an entire system. Therefore, they do not speak carelessly. They speak to create, not to react. They speak to heal, not to prove. They speak to uplift, not to judge. And when words are used in this way, the body becomes a symphony of sacred chemistry, where every cell is a note, every breath a rhythm, and every word a melody of creation. Try observing your day and listen to what you have spoken. Every word you utter is a command. Use them as you would use light. If you can, speak slowly, clearly, and with faith. Because in that very moment, you are not merely communicating with the world, you are rewriting your biological formula. From this day forward, let your words become medicine. Let every sound carry the energy of life. And when you say, "I am healing," believe that in that same instant, billions of cells within you are listening, responding, and composing the chemical symphony of the miracle called life. There is a sacred hour that few ever recognize, the moment between wakefulness and sleep, when the conscious mind withdraws and the door of the subconscious opens. In those few brief minutes, every word you speak, every image you imagine, is recorded deep within the innermost layer of the mind. And as you sleep, the body begins to carry out those commands in silence. This is the hour of the Creator, the hour when one rewrites life through faith. Night is not only a time for rest, it is a ritual of reconstruction for the mind and body, where every cell listens to the words you whisper before drifting into sleep. When you close your eyes, consciousness pauses, but the subconscious never sleeps. It works through the night, regulating the heartbeat, repairing tissues, regenerating energy, and most importantly, executing the final command you sent it. If that command is fear, it will prepare for defense. If that command is gratitude, it will open and begin to heal. Therefore, before you sleep, pay attention to what you leave for the night. For the night never refuses you. It simply fulfills what you believe. Do not carry the worries of the day into your sleep. When you bring restless thoughts with you, you let them run silently through your nervous system for 8 hours, turning the night into a laboratory of fear. But if you carry gratitude instead, the body receives the order to regenerate in peace. Many people do not realize that dreams are not random images but reflections of night programming. The mind dreams according to what it last heard before you fell into unconsciousness. So if you wish to dream healing dreams, speak to your body before sleep, as you would to a lifelong friend. Thank you for today. I release all tension. I am calm. I am healing. The body hears this and begins to act. The heartbeat slows, restorative hormones are released, and the immune system is activated. Each word of thanks is a command. Each positive image, a blueprint the subconscious will construct throughout the night. See sleep as the time when God works within you. When you stop interfering, divine energy repairs what you cannot see. That is why those who sleep in peace wake with bright eyes and light hearts. They do not merely sleep, they are reborn. Before you sleep, turn off the voice of the world and open the voice of the soul. Lie still and breathe slowly, as if floating on water. When the breath settles, choose a simple phrase, soft as a candle flame. I am protected. I am healing. Everything within me is returning to order. Do not try to believe it with your mind, just feel it with your heart. That feeling is the energy that guides the subconscious. Repeat it a few times, slowly, as though you were singing yourself to sleep. Then let it dissolve into slumber. The night will receive it and transform that word into biological reaction. The subconscious does not understand logic. It understands images and emotions. Therefore, instead of thinking about what you fear, imagine what you desire. If you are healing, imagine light flowing through your body, gentle as morning mist. If you are worried, imagine yourself surrounded by safety, silence, and love. That image becomes the map your body follows through the night. In the stillness of sleep, each cell begins to work according to the blueprint of that belief. Some think that healing requires effort, yet sometimes miracles come when we release control. When you stop trying to manage everything, the subconscious is finally free to work. Let the night become your ally, not your escape. Before sleep, say, I allow my body to restore. I allow my heart to rest. I allow my soul to return to light. This is not a random affirmation, but a covenant with the night, an agreement that you and the universe will work together in silence. Just as the earth rests to nurture seeds, the body needs the night to nourish what you have planted during the day. If you have lived in stress, night is the time to dissolve it. If you have spoken too much, night is the time to listen. If you have forgotten gratitude, night is the time to remember. And when morning comes, you will find everything within you has changed, not because of magic, but because you sent the right command. Those who succeed in healing share one ritual. They speak to their subconscious before sleep. They do not pray in fear, they affirm in faith. They know that what we think of last before we fall asleep blossoms into the experience of the next day. If you say, I am at peace, tomorrow you will find peace. If you say, I am afraid, tomorrow you will meet what frightens you. The subconscious has no morality. It simply does its job. It is utterly faithful. Therefore, choose your words as you would choose seeds, for every night is a new season of planting. You do not need many words, only a few light as breath, but they must come from gratitude. Gratitude for the body still working, gratitude for the heart still beating, gratitude for the breath still flowing. When you speak in gratitude, your frequency changes. More healing hormones are released, your heart rate stabilizes, blood pressure drops, and the mind enters deep rest. Faith is no longer a concept, it becomes biology. And when you sleep in that frequency, your entire being is bathed in gentle light. Before the night closes, remember that you are not merely going to sleep, you are entering the laboratory of the soul. Every thought is a formula, every word a command, every emotion a dose of medicine. Let everything within you unite in one simple phrase, I am in the process of healing. When you say this, the night receives it. And when you awaken, you will feel as though the entire universe has worked within your dreams. There is no moment more powerful than the one before sleep. For when consciousness fades, the subconscious opens, and God begins to speak in the language of silence. Use that moment as a sacred gateway. Enter it with gentle words, loving images, and the faith that you are being reborn in the night. For every sleep is a ceremony of life, and every dawn is proof that the body has heard, has understood, and has obeyed the final command you sent into the darkness, the command of light. Amid billions of pulses in the universe, there is one that is most sacred, your heartbeat. From the moment you appeared in your mother's womb until the final instant of life, the heart has never stopped speaking. It speaks through rhythm, through frequency, through silence. Every beat is a message, a dialogue between the soul and the body. And the miracle is that the heart does not merely pump blood, it listens. It listens to every thought, every emotion, every vibration within you, and translates them into the language of biology. When you are afraid, the rhythm changes. When you are grateful, the heartbeat harmonizes with the rhythm of the entire universe. The heart is the interpreter between the mind and the body. Everything you think, the heart receives first. If the mind gives the command, the heart carries that message throughout the body. When you send a positive thought, the heart transmits it through every vessel, delivering the signal of love to each cell. But when you hold anger or resentment, the heart also carries that message everywhere, causing tension and imbalance. It does not choose. It simply fulfills its task, faithfully reflecting what you hold within. Many believe that healing is an act of will, but in truth, healing begins with softness. The heart does not respond to rigid orders. It only opens when it hears the language of love. If you want the heart to be at peace, do not force it to beat correctly. Let it beat naturally, in trust. For the rhythm of God is never wrong, only we forget how to listen. Every day, thousands of times, the heart sends signals to the brain, reporting on the state of the body. If the heart is erratic, the brain responds with stress. But if the heart is steady and calm, the brain begins producing alpha waves, the state of relaxation, creativity, and healing. This means that when you soothe the heart, you soothe the entire life. When you breathe deeply and slowly, the heart resets its rhythm, and in that moment, you reconnect with the pulse of the cosmos. Imagine the universe as a vast symphony where every star, every atom, every breath vibrates in its own frequency. Your heart is the instrument finely tuned to play in that orchestra. When you fear, you fall out of rhythm. When you love, you return to the main melody. Therefore, healing is not about making the heart stronger, but helping it remember the song of God. That song is love, gratitude, and trust in life. When you place your hand upon your chest, you can feel that beat. It is not merely the sound of blood, but a reminder that a greater force is moving within you. You do not control it, but you can align with it. When you say, "I am at peace," the heart listens. When you say, "I love," the heart expands. When you say, "I am grateful," the heartbeat becomes full and round. No ceremony is needed, only sincerity. For the heart understands truth, not pretense. Every emotion you carry has its own rhythm. Fear is fast, anger is sharp, sadness is slow, gratitude is steady. When you dwell in gratitude, the heart and brain begin to synchronize. This harmony generates an electromagnetic wave that radiates beyond the body, influencing the environment around you. Science calls it coherence, the state of alignment. The soul calls it oneness. It is the moment you are no longer separate from the world, but part of it. You no longer seek peace, you become the peace that spreads. If you have ever experienced heartbreak, know that the heart does not truly break, it closes to heal. Every wound is an invitation to return to the tenderness of love. When you forgive, you do not free another. You open your own heart again. And when the heart opens, life energy returns. Pain begins to dissolve. No suffering can last when the heart is allowed to beat freely. Before sleep, place your hand upon your chest and listen. Do not count. Do not force, just listen. Whisper softly, "I hear you, my heart. Thank you for still beating." When you do this, a new connection forms between the observer and the observed, between consciousness and the body. The heart hears that gratitude and changes rhythm. It becomes gentler, steadier, more sacred. As you move through the day, try living by the rhythm of the heart instead of the rhythm of fear. Before each decision, ask your heart, "Does this make me feel light?" If it does, it is the right way. If it feels heavy, it is a signal to pause. The heart does not speak with logic, yet it is never wrong. It is the antenna of the soul, and the soul never errs. Sometimes you will feel your heart race in the face of something new. Do not be afraid. That is how God tells you that you are alive. That pulse is proof of presence. When you love, the heart beats fast. When you fear, it beats fast too, but only you decide what you are vibrating for. Choose love, choose life, Choose to resonate with life instead of resisting it. The heart knows how to listen, but it also longs to be heard. When you speak to it gently, it begins to guide you. It becomes the compass of every action. Every good thing in life begins from a peaceful heartbeat. So live more slowly, breathe more deeply, and let every beat become a prayer. When the heart and mind are in rhythm, all conflicts fade, and you feel as if the entire universe is beating with you. There is no science deeper than the science of the heart, for there, faith becomes biology. When you believe in love, blood flows more easily, the body grows stronger, the mind becomes clearer. When you love, creative energy returns. When you are grateful, the heart's waves radiate so strongly that they can transform the space around you. And within that rhythm, you realize what all sages once knew. The heart is not merely an organ of life, it is the doorway to God. Let today be the day you truly begin to listen to your heart. Speak to it as you would to an old friend. I hear you. I trust you. I know you lead me right. And then, simply be still, and you will hear deep within a quiet sound, not a beat, but a reply. I have always been here. In that moment, you and your heart are no longer two. There is only one rhythm, the divine rhythm, beating through you, beating for you, and beating as you. Breath is the bridge between body and soul. It is the first act when you enter this world, and the last act when you leave it. Between those two moments are millions of openings and closings of the lungs, carrying the rhythm of life. Yet most people forget that every breath is not merely air, it is a prayer. Every inhalation is your way of receiving life. Every exhalation is your way of releasing worry, fear, and everything that has become too heavy to hold. The lungs are the wings of the soul, and breath is the song of existence. The lungs do more than perform a biological function. They listen to your moods. When you are afraid, your breath shortens. When you are tense, it becomes hurried. But when you are at peace, the breath returns to its natural state, whole, deep, and warm. Breath is the mirror of the mind. One could say, "Tell me how you breathe, and I will tell you how you live." Therefore, to change your life, sometimes you don't need to try so hard, you only need to start breathing consciously again. Inhale as though you are drinking light. Exhale as though you are freeing yourself. This is the oldest, gentlest, and ever-present medicine. When you inhale with gratitude, you receive the sacred energy of the universe. When you exhale in surrender, you return what has already fulfilled its purpose. Breath is the eternal cycle of giving and receiving, the immutable law of life. Your lungs are gateways of light. Every cell within them vibrates with the energy you breathe in. When you inhale in fear, the body contracts, the flow of energy blocks. But when you inhale in love, the lungs expand. Light floods in, and every cell feels cleansed. Imagine each breath as a golden ray passing through your lungs, carrying life, illuminating the hidden corners within. Inhale, light enters. Exhale, darkness dissolves. When anxiety arises, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and say silently, "I am safe." Then exhale slowly and say, "I am letting go." Repeat a few times and you will feel your heart beat slow, your mind soften, and your body open. For breath does not only regulate air, it regulates belief. Each breath is a command to the subconscious. When you breathe in peace, the body understands that you have chosen to live in peace. And when you sustain that, the lungs become a temple, the meeting place of light and flesh. In the Bible it is written, "God breathed into man's nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul." Breath is the signature of the divine within you. It does not belong to the past or the future. It exists only in the present, the only place where God dwells. When you inhale, you receive God within. When you exhale, you surrender yourself to life. Thus, breath is a wordless prayer, the simplest form of divine connection. Many pray with words, but few know how to pray with breath. Words can stop, but breath never does. It needs no church, no ritual. You need only sit still, place your hand on your chest, close your eyes, and let air pass through you consciously. Inhale and whisper, light in. Exhale and whisper, darkness out. Repeat 10 times, and you will feel a warmth spreading through your lungs and your whole body. That is not illusion, it is life energy returning to flow. The lungs are your point of contact with the world. Every breath is a handshake with the universe. When you are afraid, you close that door. But when you breathe with faith, you are saying to God, I am ready to receive. And God responds with air, with oxygen, with the energy you call life. Each deep breath you take is a declaration that you choose to live. Breath is the most powerful affirmation of existence. Someone once said, illness begins when we stop breathing deeply, because when breath becomes shallow, energy stops flowing. When energy stops, the body gradually loses connection with the soul. But the moment you remember to breathe, life remembers you. You don't need to change everything, just spend a few minutes each morning taking deep breaths, sighing fully, thanking your lungs for serving faithfully in silence. Each evening, exhale all fatigue, as though handing your burdens back to the universe. Then you will feel something miraculous. Even without asking, you are being healed. If you are carrying pain or tension within, speak to your lungs as you would to a dear friend. Thank you for still breathing for me. Thank you for never abandoning me. Then inhale and imagine each lung unfolding like 2 petals opening in the light. Exhale and imagine the darkness being swept away. Continue like this, and the breath becomes prayer not through words, but through every cell. And as the prayer moves through the body, it becomes an act of living, simple, natural, sacred. When you live in awareness of breath, you no longer dwell in time. You live in the eternal present, where there is only light, stillness, and the rhythm of God. It is a place without anxiety, without past, without future. Only you and the breath exist together. And then you understand the deepest truth. You do not need to seek God elsewhere, for He is already within the stream of air you breathe in. Your lungs are the lamp. Breath is the light. Each inhalation lights you from within. Each exhalation illuminates the world around you. If you wish to know what it means to live in grace, begin by breathing consciously, for there is no prayer stronger than breath, no ritual deeper than living within each inhale and exhale of life itself. Let today be the day you begin to breathe as a sacred act. When you inhale, say within, I receive life. When you exhale, say, I release and trust. In this way, you are not merely breathing air, you are breathing light, breathing faith, breathing God Himself. And when you exhale for the final time in this life, that too will be a prayer of gratitude for having lived, for having loved, for having existed within the holy rhythm of the universe's breath. At the center of the body, there is a vertical path that connects heaven and earth, the spine. It is the central axis, the silent bridge that keeps life upright. Without it, there is no balance. Without it, the will cannot flow into the hands, and the soul cannot dwell fully within the body. The spine is where energy flows, the golden thread that connects mind, heart, and soul. Yet through the years, humans have stacked upon it many burdens, the burden of responsibility, of fear, of guilt, and each burden leaves its mark upon the spine. When the mind bows under sorrow, the body bends with it. When the soul forgets its worth, the spine contracts, as if apologizing to the world for daring to exist. The spine does not only carry the body, it carries the stories you have not released. Each vertebra holds a memory, a belief, an old vow. The neck remembers the things you could not say. The upper back holds the tears you never allowed to fall. The lower back carries responsibilities that were never yours. The body does not betray you, it is only honest. When you say, I must bear it, the body listens and bears it. When you say, I can't take it anymore, it tightens to resist. Every muscle, every ligament, follows the command of those silent thoughts. And in time, you feel weary not because of your muscles, but because the soul has been bowing for too long. The spine is the axis of life. It was not made to endure, but to uphold. It was not made to strain, but to transmit the flow of energy straight and light from the crown of the head down to the feet. When that flow is blocked, a person loses connection with their original strength. But all it takes is a change in perception for everything to shift. You do not need to pull or force, only to teach the spine a new command. I am free, I am supported, I no longer need to strain. Close your eyes and imagine your spine as a radiant golden pillar. See it begin at the crown of your head, traveling down through your neck, your back, your lower back to your base. Feel the light from above pouring down, flowing through each vertebra, each narrow space. That light melts away the heavy blocks you have carried, the responsibilities you accepted, the memories you have not forgiven. The spine begins to widen, to straighten, to warm, and in that moment, you feel released from the invisible burden of many years. It is not magic, it is a return to the natural shape of the soul, upright, luminous, and light. The spine is the dwelling place of the soul within the body. In ancient traditions, it was called the axis of heaven, the channel through which divine energy passes. When you live in faith, that energy moves freely. But when you live in fear, it becomes blocked at different points. The neck blocks when you do not dare to speak truth. The chest blocks when you prevent the heart from feeling. The lower back blocks when you strain to live for others. Each blockage is an unlearned lesson, an unresolved emotion. But the miracle is, you can open every gate yourself. You only need to breathe, to release, to say, I allow my spine to return to the order of light. No one can stand upright in the body if the soul is still bowed. Therefore, if you wish the body to rise, begin with forgiveness. Forgive the past, forgive those who made you bow, and forgive yourself for staying in that posture. When you forgive, the muscles relax. When you believe that you are supported, the spine returns to its natural state, firm but not rigid, strong but not strained. You do not need to carry the world. The earth was created to spin on its own. Your task is only to stand straight within your own axis, letting energy flow through you without obstruction. A woman once said, I feel as though I've carried a building on my back my whole life. And indeed, her back was bent, her breath short, her voice tired. When she began repeating one simple sentence each day, I do not carry, I let the light take it, her body began to change. Her spine no longer trembled from tension but from release. After a few weeks, her posture naturally straightened. It was not due to therapy but because the energy of freedom had returned. The spine does not need to be pulled. It only needs to be trusted. The spine is the symbol of dignity. When a person lifts their head, it is not arrogance, it is remembrance that they are a creation of God. Each vertebra is an affirmation. I was born to stand in light, not to bow in fear. Each morning when you rise, take a minute to feel your spine. Breathe deeply and whisper, my golden pillar, shine. Keep me standing in love and truth. That sentence, repeated with faith, will change the way you walk, the way you see, and the way you live. Remember that the spine is not just bone, but a conduit of energy. Each time you think rightly, speak truthfully, and love purely, energy flows smoothly through it. Each time you fear, lie, or deny yourself, that flow slows down, and the body reminds you through pain. Pain is not the enemy, it is the bell that rings, saying, something is too heavy. When you listen instead of resisting, the pain begins to dissolve. When you say, I understand, I will release, the body responds with relief. If you are carrying on your back, things that do not belong to you, expectations, regrets, or guilt. Allow yourself to lay them down. You need no permission. Imagine setting each burden on the ground, watching it turn into light and fade into space. Say, I return to the universe what does not belong to me. I keep only light and love. In that moment, your spine will tremble as if reborn. You lose nothing, you gain freedom. The golden spine is the image of one who has understood that burdens were never destiny, only lessons. Understood that standing upright is not pride, but respect for the energy that raised you. Understood that true strength comes not from muscle, but from the clarity of the soul flowing through every bone. When you stand still, back straight, head high, breath steady, you become a channel of sacred energy. Light from heaven enters through the crown, flows down the neck, through the heart, through the abdomen, and into the earth. You become the golden column, no longer a small individual, but the bridge between heaven and earth. And in that state, you no longer carry anything because you are no longer separate from the energy that upholds the entire universe. From this day forward, remember, your spine is a golden column. Whenever you bow from fear, rise in faith. Whenever you strain from worry, relax in love. Whenever you forget your worth, touch your back gently and remind yourself, I am the light standing upright. And in that moment, heaven and earth will align with you, for the axis of the universe and the axis within you have always been one. On the body, the skin is the boundary between ourselves and the world. It is a thin yet most honest veil, reflecting everything that happens within. Every blemish, every spot, every redness is not merely a matter of cells, but the language of the soul trying to speak. The skin does not speak with words, it tells through signs. When you are tense, it tightens. When you are afraid, it pales. When you love, it glows. And when you are at peace, it becomes a mirror, reflecting the light of the inner world. Skin is not just the garment of the body, it is a profound sensory system. It holds billions of nerve endings, millions of sensory cells, and countless channels of information that lead to the brain. When someone touches you, the skin sends that message to the heart before you can even think. Likewise, when you blame or reject yourself, the skin hears that energy and reacts. Every time you say, I am not good enough, the skin contracts, blood flow decreases, and the light within your cells dims. It does not distinguish between real and imagined. It only reflects what you believe. See the skin as the screen on which your inner movie is projected. If within you there is fear, the film that appears is dry, gray, lifeless. If within you there is love, the film brightens soft, radiant, and smooth. That is why those with peaceful souls, regardless of age, carry faces that shine with vitality. The glow does not come from cosmetics, but from within. When the soul shines, every cell of the skin emits light. Many try to hide the signs of their skin, forgetting that the body does not need to be concealed, it needs to be heard. Every pimple is not an enemy, but a message. Here lies an emotion unhealed. Every patch of inflammation is a call. Please forgive yourself. Every dark spot is a mark of thoughts that have stayed too long. When you treat your skin with love instead of anger, it begins to change. When you soothe it with gratitude, blood flows evenly again, cells renew, and life returns. The skin is the first organ of contact, and the first to suffer when you feel disconnected. When you build walls around yourself, the skin thickens. When you feel violated, it inflames. When you lose faith, it loses color. But when you open your heart, barriers dissolve, and the skin becomes softer, clearer, more breathable. Each time you love yourself, you allow your skin to breathe in the light of life once more. Try a morning without haste. When you wash your face, don't do it mechanically. Treat it as a ritual. Touch your skin with gratitude, as if touching a living being that listens. Speak gently to it. Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for faithfully telling my story. When you do this, the energy in your hands changes. The body senses that tenderness and responds with softness. Skin does not only hear, it remembers. Each loving touch writes a new line in its memory of safety. Some have struggled with skin conditions for years, and only when they changed their inner dialogue did the skin begin to heal. Because the problem was never truly on the surface, but in the images they projected of themselves. When the inside is full of judgment, the body mirrors it with inflammation. When the inside is full of acceptance, the body responds with healing. Every thought is a beam of light shining on the screen of the skin. The film you are watching is the film you are projecting. Skin is also the boundary between the self and the world. When you feel unsafe, that boundary tightens. But when you believe the universe is home, it opens. When you believe you are loved, the skin becomes a bridge rather than a barrier. All exchanges light, warmth, energy flow naturally. And in that openness, the body begins to restore itself. The immune system aligns, hormones stabilize, and the skin shines like a still lake. Remember that the skin is the only organ that constantly renews. Every 7 days, millions of old cells are replaced by new ones. The body does not cling to the past, only the mind does. If you could let the past fall away as easily as the skin sheds its layers, you would no longer feel heavy. Let mistakes, fears, and wounds peel away like dead cells. Allow yourself to be renewed, softened, and radiant, as pure as the first moment you arrived in this world, whole and clear. There is a form of prayer few know. It is breathing through the skin. When you are still, imagine every pore inhaling light and exhaling darkness. Picture yourself as a small planet with your own atmosphere, and your skin as the boundary that communes with the universe. Each breath through the skin is a whisper. I am alive. I am connected. The body feels this, and every cell begins to sing. If you have ever looked in the mirror and felt dissatisfaction, look again, but this time, not with your eyes, but with your heart. Look and say, I see you. I thank you for your honesty. I forgive you for reflecting what I once feared. Then smile. When you smile sincerely, the skin responds instantly. It brightens not from surface change, but from the surge of loving energy just awakened. The mirror of the soul becomes clear again. You do not need to be perfect to be beautiful. True beauty arises from harmony between the inner and the outer. When the mind is at peace, the skin naturally glows. When the soul is calm, every wrinkle becomes alive with meaning. You cannot repaint youth, but you can rekindle the light of life. And that light needs no adornment, for it radiates from the heart, through the lungs, through the blood, and finally rests upon the skin where it shines as a gentle greeting to the world. The mirror of the soul never lies, it faithfully reflects what you believe about yourself. So if you want to see a different image in the mirror, do not change your face. Change your mind. Choose to believe that you are lovable, that this body is a sacred temple worthy of respect, that every cell is cooperating with you, not against you. When you believe this, the skin transforms not only in brightness but in feeling. It becomes warm, light, and fragrant with life. Let today be the day you begin a true dialogue with the mirror of your soul. When you look at your skin, don't ask, "Why am I like this?" Ask instead, "What are you trying to tell me?" Listen without judgment, because sometimes being heard is all the body needs to begin to heal. And when light rises within you, the mirror outside shines with it. For the skin is not merely part of the body, it is the water's surface where the soul reflects itself. And when the water is clear, the light appears. Within the body flows a red river that never stops moving. This river carries life itself, carrying the memory of every breath, every thought, every emotion you have ever experienced. Each drop of blood is a silent messenger of the mind, delivering invisible commands throughout the body. When you are joyful, the river flows lightly, warm and bright. When you are sad, it thickens, heavy and slow. When you are afraid, it contracts, trying to protect you from the world. Blood does not merely nourish the body, it nourishes the soul within its physical form. It is the sacred river that God placed inside you as a reminder that even in stillness, life is always in motion. With every heartbeat, billions of blood cells pass through the heart and lungs, carrying oxygen, the breath of God, to every corner of your body. Then they return, bringing back waste, sorrow, and fatigue to be renewed. That is the law of life. Giving and receiving, receiving and giving, an endless cycle. But there is one thing humans rarely realize. Blood does not flow only through veins. It flows according to thought. Each idea is a command, and blood is the executor. When you think of anger, the heart beats faster, blood vessels constrict, and pressure rises. When you think of gratitude, blood circulates smoothly, the heart steadies, the body opens. Thought directs the red river. Blood does not speak, yet it understands. It understands when you love, when you hate, when you forgive, and when you fall silent. For every emotion leaves a biological trace. Anger creates acid, forgiveness creates alkalinity. Worry thickens the blood, trust thins it. This is not philosophy, it is the chemistry of spirit. Every thought is a molecule, and the body is the laboratory reacting to it. Thus, blood is the truest mirror of the inner life. Imagine the body as a garden, and blood as the water feeding its roots. If the water is polluted, leaves wither, flowers fade, roots dry. But when the water is pure, everything lives again. Each negative thought is like a drop of ink falling into a clear river. It does not stop the river, but it dims its light. Likewise, every time you forgive, you purify. Every time you feel gratitude, you make the river clear again. When you understand that blood is not merely biology but liquid consciousness, you begin to treat it differently with reverence. You breathe differently, eat differently, think differently, speak differently. You realize that every thought enters your blood and returns to your heart, a circulation of the soul. The body never betrays you. It only listens to what you send. If you send fear, it prepares for battle. If you send love, it relaxes and restores. Therefore, blood is the river carrying the messages of the mind. Each morning, when you open your eyes, your heart beats, and the river begins to flow stronger. That is the moment when God says, you still have a chance to send better thoughts. Sit quietly, place your hand on your chest, and feel that rhythm. It is not just the sound of the heart, but the murmur of the river of life. Whisper, thank you, blood, for carrying me through this new day. Thank you for still flowing, still nourishing, still loving. When you speak these words, your body changes. Blood pressure eases, your heartbeat stabilizes, and you begin the day not only with the mind, but with the energy circulating fully within you. When you are angry, remember that the anger is not in others, it is in your blood. Every minute of anger releases chemicals that make the blood thicker. Every minute of love purifies it. Forgiveness is not only a moral act, but a biological one, a therapy of circulation. Each time you let go, the red river returns to its clear, warm, oxygen-rich state. And then you feel well, not because of a miracle, but because the energy of love is flowing freely again. The body remembers, and blood is where memory resides. Every time you hurt, every time you rejoice, the blood records that frequency. There are ancient memories hidden in this river, unspoken wounds, unresolved beliefs. But you can cleanse them. Imagine with each breath that you are inhaling golden light and exhaling the shadows in your blood. See that light entering your heart, spreading through your whole body, dissolving old currents. You begin to feel warmth, lightness, as if a new river has just been born within you. You do not need to understand biology to sense this. You only need to slow down and listen to your heart, and you will hear the sound of flowing water. When you are calm, the blood is calm. When you rush, the blood is chaotic. When you trust, it shines like a sunlit river. Thus, healing begins with trusting the natural rhythm of life. You cannot force a river to flow faster, but you can clear its debris. And the debris here are the heavy thoughts, the self-blame, the old images you refuse to release. Blood is also the substance of ancestral memory. What you carry is not only your own story, but the echo of generations before you. The fears, the faith, even the dreams of your ancestors may rest within your genes, your cells, your red river, yet you are not bound by them. With new awareness and faith, you can cleanse that inheritance. Each time you choose love over fear, trust over doubt, you rewrite the flowing history within your blood. Blood is condensed light, the soul in liquid form. When it flows freely, you feel truly alive. When it is restrained, you feel estranged from yourself. Therefore, each day take time to breathe deeply, to move, to listen, and to thank this river. Speak to it as you would to a lifelong friend. Flow gently, carry away what is old, bring me back to the light. That alone is enough, the body will understand. Remember, you cannot separate yourself from your blood, just as you cannot separate your soul from life. When you love, you make the red river sing. When you fear, you make it fall silent. Yet no matter what you do, it keeps flowing patient, faithful, waiting for you to remember that life has always been within. And when you realize this, you will no longer see blood as mere matter, but as a hymn of God being sung through the human form. Every heartbeat is a note, every pulse a refrain. The song needs no words, only listening. For the red river within you is the song of life itself, the eternal hymn of the soul flowing through this body, carrying thought, carrying love, and carrying the light of God in every drop. Hidden deep within the body are treasures few ever notice, not gold, not jewels, but tiny glands quietly governing the entire inner world of your being. The pituitary, thyroid, adrenals, pineal, pancreas, these microscopic broadcasting towers of biology are also the antennas of the soul. They are signal stations linking the invisible mind with the visible body. Every thought, every emotion, every belief is translated into an electrochemical signal, and these endocrine glands are the receivers, amplifiers, and transmitters. They are the gatekeepers of belief, the place where spirit becomes biology. When you believe you are safe, the glands release molecules of peace, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, messengers of love and joy. When you fear, they send out alarm signals, adrenaline, cortisol, preparing the body for battle. They do not distinguish between real or imagined. They respond only to the signals you send. Therefore, what you believe becomes your chemistry. Each belief is a dial tuning your frequency, and the endocrine glands are the delicate transmitters broadcasting the corresponding song. The pineal gland, small as a pea and nestled in the center of the brain, is the observatory of the soul. It senses light, the rhythm of day and night, and serves as a portal between matter and spirit. When you live in love, it releases melatonin, the hormone of peace, of sleep, of dreams. When you live in tension, it closes, and the doorway to intuition shuts. That is why those who listen inwardly always have a certain light in their eyes, because their pineal gland is awake, still connected to the sacred rhythm of the cosmos. The thyroid gland, located at the throat where your words are born, is the transmitter of expression. When you are honest, it sings. When you silence yourself out of fear, it tightens. When you live in alignment with your truth, it opens, balances, and the body becomes light. But when you speak against your soul, when your words no longer match your truth, the thyroid reacts, slowing down or overworking. It does not punish, it only mirrors. Thus, the health of the thyroid is the health of the truth within you. The adrenal glands, perched atop your kidneys, are the emergency power stations. They surge with strength when you need it, but they deplete when you live too long in fear. Each time you worry, they activate blood races, heart quickens, body tenses. Once is fine, but if prolonged, they weaken. Then you feel exhausted, warm and steady. Not because the body has no energy, fear, but because the mind releases excessive stress hormones, forcing the pancreas to relearn to trust life. It responds to the emotions you suppress, and true vitality. Every time you say, the pancreas is the harmonizer of sugar, the pancreas is the bridge between sweetness and bitterness. It tries to balance, but if your energy doesn't change, the blood tires. Therefore, to heal the body, emotions cannot be ignored. Emotion is not only energy, it is the signal that governs inner chemistry. And the pituitary gland, the silent commander, the central conductor of the entire system, it takes orders from the hypothalamus, where emotional memories are stored. If your mind is calm, the pituitary sends commands of balance. But if you live in fear, it issues emergency orders, putting the whole body on alert. You may not notice, but a single thought is enough to shift the entire system. Thought is signal, and the glands are transmitters. The endocrine system is a treasure because it holds the power of natural creation and healing. When you live in trust, it functions like an orchestra in harmony. Each gland is an instrument, each hormone a musical note, and the mind is the conductor. If the conductor is tense, the orchestra falters. If the conductor is calm, all plays in tune. And when the body is in harmony, there is no need to force healing. Nature does it for you. Many ask, why can belief heal illness? The answer lies within this very system. When you believe you are protected, the glands send out chemical messages that help the body recover. When you believe you are hopeless, they send messages of shutdown. Faith, therefore, is not an abstract idea, it is a language the endocrine system understands. When you pray with genuine trust, the body hears and adjusts. But when you pray from fear, the body only hears fear. No word can bypass this biological layer, only the frequency of faith can. Thus, what matters is not what you say, but the frequency from which you say it. When you affirm, I am healthy with faith, the pituitary sends restorative signals. When you say, I am weak in despair, the adrenals receive the command to contract. Every word passes through the body as a chemical command, and the endocrine glands are the faithful executors. You cannot deceive them, for they do not hear words, they hear vibration. Take time each day to speak with your body, not through logic, but through the frequency of gratitude. The body hears and begins to broadcast differently. Thank you for still waves working. Of trust, even though I've forgotten you for so long. When you feel you've lost the faith in life, brightens. Remember that the pituitary steady transmitters, the pineal working tirelessly, and the whole system continue to believe in life. That you have returned, even when you do not. When you give thanks, every heartbeat, every hormone released, is an affirmation. I still believe in you. Learn again how to respond to that faith. Become a friend to your body, a co-creator, not a supervisor. When you and your body share the same belief, miracles occur not by outside force, but because the endocrine treasure, the sacred system God placed within you, begins to sing to the melody of faith. From this day on, see your body as a delicate broadcasting station. Every thought is a frequency, every emotion a song. Send out waves of love, waves of trust, waves of gratitude. Allow the glands within you to bathe in light instead of fear. And when you do, the body will broadcast back waves of peace. That is your treasure, not outside, not to be found but alive within every drop of hormone, every current of command, every tiny vibration of life whispering, "You are trusted. You are the transmitter of God." Pain is the voice of the body, the final language when every earlier cry for help has been ignored. It is not the enemy but the faithful gatekeeper. When a part of you begins to speak, it means that place has endured too long without being heard. Pain arrives to call you back, to remind you that you have strayed too far from balance. And when you begin to listen instead of resist, something miraculous happens. Pain ceases to be punishment and becomes ritual, a ritual of awareness, of restoration, of the sacred power of consciousness. Every sensation is a message. A headache is not only about blood vessels, it is the mind overloaded. Back pain is not only the spine, it is responsibility unshared. Stomach pain is not only digestion, it is what you could not swallow. Every pain carries the form of an unspoken story, an emotion not yet released. When you listen in silence instead of rushing to suppress it, you are giving yourself authority, the priestly authority of consciousness, the right to heal from within. The body does not wish to make you suffer, it wants to be heard. It uses pain as a church bell, ringing until the soul returns. You can choose to ignore it, but the bell will strike louder. You can try to silence it, but its sound will echo in the depth of your cells. Only when you say, "I understand," does the bell begin to soften. Understanding does not mean surrender. It means ceasing to resist. But if the priest stays calm, resisting pain is what reigniting the flame with breath, listening to pain is what dissolves the temple glows again. Imagine the body as when you bring gentle attention to the area of pain, the priest, energy begins whenever a part of the body hurts, circulation returns. It is as if a candle within that temple and pain begins to melt. If the priest panics, no command is needed, only presence. Presence is the strongest medicine. When you place consciousness upon a place, you bring the light of the soul there. The cells feel this and begin to change. This is not wishful thinking. It is biological fact. Attention alters neural frequency, calms the stress response, and activates restorative hormones. That is why when you place your hand on the area of pain and breathe slowly, the body immediately softens. Not because the hand is magical, but because awareness has returned to the place that was forgotten. Many believe that healing is an act of doing, but often healing is the art of stopping. Pain is like a child crying. The more you scold, the louder it cries. But when you sit down, look into its eyes and say, "I hear you," the cry melts into silence. The body is the same. It does not need punishment or orders, it needs your real presence. Presence in breath, in awareness, in unconditional love. Remember, consciousness is the supreme commander. Every cell listens to the frequency it emits. When consciousness is filled with fear, the body contracts. When consciousness holds peace, the body opens and adjusts itself. Therefore, when pain appears, do not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask instead, "What signal am I sending to my body?" For pain is merely life's answer to the signal you have broadcast. When you breathe deeply into pain, light is entering. You are bringing new energy into what is blocked. Slowly. Breath is light. Allow it to be free. And light does not fight darkness. Do this a few times. It simply appears. And you will feel close your eyes, not because it was forced, deeply, but because it was understood. For the only thing pain ever needed was acknowledgement. In the silence of listening, you begin to understand that pain is not an enemy but a teacher. It teaches you about limits, about patience, about the art of surrender. It points to where you have been too tense, where you have forgotten to love yourself. And each time you grasp that lesson, pain has no reason to remain. It leaves quietly, like a teacher who has finished the lesson. Sometimes, pain does not vanish right away, but it changes nature. It becomes soft. It no longer makes you contract. It invites you to open. That is the sign that body and consciousness have begun to work together. In that moment, you are no longer enduring pain, but being with pain. The difference lies in frequency. When you are with it, you become the priest, the one guiding the flow of energy. You are no longer the one in pain. You are the witness of transformation. If you have spent long years living with pain, know that your body has never been against you. It has only been trying to keep you alive. Every contraction, every spasm, every pulse of ache is an attempt to protect you from unprocessed energy. When you understand this, gratitude fills your heart, and that gratitude is the deepest medicine. Gratitude is the one energy that pain cannot coexist with. Imagine yourself standing within a vast cathedral inside your body. Pain is the bell ringing. Consciousness is the priest approaching the altar. There is no fear, no resistance, only the silent ritual. The priest places a hand upon that place, breathes slowly, smiles. In that moment, there is no division between the sufferer and the pain, only presence, where soul and body become one. That is the priesthood of consciousness, the right to bring light to where darkness is crying out. Practice this each time your body speaks, and not because you rush to drive it away, but because you stopped doing. Send light into it, not because you speak to it with gentleness, but because you allowed the body to heal itself. I hear you. Pain will eventually fade, then fall silent. Not because you conquered it, in that silence, but because you no longer need it. The miracle happens when the lesson is learned. The bell goes silent. When the priest has completed the ritual, the temple returns to peace, and you realize that what once frightened you most has become the doorway to the deepest serenity. From that place, you are no longer one who flees from pain, but one who walks with it gently, consciously, freely. For silencing pain is awakening the priesthood of consciousness, the right to love, to know, to shine, and to live wholly in the light of your own being. There is a small flame that quietly burns inside every person, the flame of unhealed hurt, the fire of unforgiven pain. It does not rage wildly, but smolders in silence, heating the blood, burdening the heart, and tiring the body. That is inflammation, what medicine calls a defense response, and what spirituality calls the hardening of energy. Every time you hold resentment, the body hears it. Every time you keep an old wound, the nervous system tightens, cells contract, and blood rushes as if preparing for battle. Forgiveness, therefore, is not only a moral act but a biological one. When you forgive, you are not doing anyone else a favor, you are extinguishing the fire within yourself. Forgiveness is the science of peace. When you are angry, the body releases cortisol and adrenaline, making the heart race, weakening immunity, and disturbing digestion. When you forgive, oxytocin and serotonin return. Blood warms and flows smoothly, the heartbeat slows, and breathing deepens. Forgiveness does not change the past, but it changes the frequency of the present, the only place where the body and soul truly live. Because the body does not live in memory, it lives in the vibration of this very moment. And if you carry an old frequency into the present, it will keep recreating old reactions. Every inflammation begins from one place: resistance. The body inflames when it fights what it perceives as foreign. The mind does the same. It inflames when it finds a memory not yet accepted. An order to the more you resist, the hotter the fire begins to restore. The more you look at your body, it is the perfect mirror of what you have not yet forgiven. Forgiveness is not agreeing with shoulders from what you won't release. It is ceasing to feed a heavy chest from words unsaid, a burning stomach from memories not digested, inflamed skin from fears being exposed. Every area holds a story. When you begin to forgive, not only does the mind lighten, the body opens. Every tissue, every cell feels gratitude. They finally rest after years of silent battle. Forgiveness does not happen in the head. It happens in the heart. The mind can rationalize, but only the heart can let go. True forgiveness does not require the words, "I forgive you," but a moment of honesty when you look at an old memory and no longer tremble. When you think of someone and your heartbeat stays steady. When you remember your own mistake and no longer feel shame, that is the sign forgiveness has occurred. You do not need to declare it, because the body has confirmed it with peace. Try a simple practice. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Call forth a face or a situation that once hurt you. Do not judge. Do not analyze, just look. Say silently, "I allow this image to be here. I do not wish to fix it, only to understand it." Then inhale again, exhale and say, "I return this energy to the light." Do this a few times, and you will feel your body lighten, as if an old garment were being removed. Because energy does not disappear, it transforms. When you forgive, the heavy energy returns to its source of light, and the body is freed. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. Forgetting is avoidance. Forgiving means understanding that there is nothing left to hold. When you truly understand, the memory remains, but it loses its power to hurt. You still remember, but you remember in peace. You still see, but you see through light. In that instant, the fire of inflammation goes out not by medicine, but by awareness. Many live their whole lives in anger, unaware that they are burning themselves with the chemistry they create. They feel tired, sick, burdened, never realizing that unforgiveness is fueling their illness. For no flame burns another, it only burns the one who holds it. When you forgive, you are not declaring the other worthy of peace, you are choosing to live. Forgiveness is the highest power of humankind. It does not come from weakness, but from the strength of understanding law. The lungs, you understand that holding on is the immune system shifts. Resistance creates inflammation. Your body reorganizes, brings pain to its original state. Forgiving is releasing. There is a simple truth. Releasing restores flow. No one can truly harm you once you understand. When you forgive, energy begins to move again through the heart. Reveal the places within you still unloved. When you see that, gratitude replaces resentment, and where gratitude lives, inflammation cannot. Because within the same body, two frequencies, resentment and grace, cannot coexist. When forgiving, you need no loud words, no reunion, no ritual. Simply sit quietly and speak to the universe. I understand. I choose peace over right and wrong. I choose lightness over weight. In that moment, the body changes state. The heart steadies, the breath deepens, the skin warms, blood flows freely, and cells begin to renew. Forgiveness is the switch, and peace is the current turned back on. If you wish to witness a miracle, forgive one small thing today. Forgive a memory, a person, or yourself. Whisper softly, "I have suffered enough. Now I choose peace." Each time you say that, a part of your body brightens, That light travels into the places that were once tight, hot and sore. It moves through your joints, your back, your chest, your heart. It soothes, warms, and softens. And in that slow breath, you realize the miracle was never outside. It lives in the quiet act of forgiveness itself. Forgiveness is how you return home. When you no longer need to prove, to retaliate, or to cling to your wound as identity, you become the free-flowing river again. Every fire extinguishes, every inflammation cools. Something within every pain is asking to be forgiven. Your body returns to its first purpose, to be a conduit of light. Just breathe deeply and say, from today on, I forgive all. Whenever your heart aches, myself, take it as a reminder, so I may live. Then be silent, for in that silence the fire fades, the warmth of peace spreads, and you hear the miracle your body singing. A song without words, light as air, deep as water, called forgiveness. That song is the beginning of all healing, the doorway where you and God meet again, in stillness, in clarity, and in love without condition. The human body is a miracle in constant motion. Every day, millions of old cells die and millions of new ones are born. They do not need your command, only your permission. When you understand this, you realize that rebirth is not a metaphor but a real process. Every 30 days, your body becomes a new version of itself. New skin, new blood, new energy, all created from one single material, the frequency in which you live. If you live in fear, the new cells will learn fear. If you live in gratitude, the new cells will learn gratitude. The body has no past. It only reflects the present you send to it each day. Rebirth does not require you to change everything in a moment. It begins with small, consistent, intentional acts. 30 days is a full cycle, enough time for one group of old cells to dissolve and a new group to form. If you spend 30 days infusing your body with the energy of love, trust, and stillness, you will witness something extraordinary. The body feels lighter, the mind becomes clear, and the soul shines. This is not magic, it is the mathematics of life. This simple phrase is a command to re-establish 30 days to memorize a new pattern of being. Feel the first heartbeat, it is the knock of the divine. Place your hand on your heart and say, each morning breathe deeply, exhale slowly, and send a word of thanks to the countless cells working tirelessly to keep you alive. Just 1 minute of awareness each day is enough to change the current of energy in the body. On the third day, begin to listen. When the body is tired, ask it, what do you need? When the mind is anxious, ask, what are you afraid of? Do not rush to find answers. The asking itself is the act of love. Cells do not understand the language of logic, they understand care. When you listen, they relax. When they relax, the energy of healing is turned on. On the 5th day, practice gratitude. Gratitude is not only an emotion, it is a frequency that recalibrates your entire biology. Speak gratitude to every part. Thank you, feet, for carrying me. Thank you, hands, for touching the world. Thank you, eyes, for still seeing the light. Each thank you is a beam of light traveling through the nervous system, triggering restorative hormones, opening the heart, and warming the blood. When the body receives gratitude, it responds with vitality. On the 10th day, learn to eat as a ritual. Every meal is an opportunity for renewal. When you see food as energy rather than matter, you begin to eat slower, with more reverence. When you chew in silence, digestion flows smoothly and energy is absorbed more deeply. Each bite becomes a greeting to life, and every cell receives the signal of love. There is no medicine stronger than eating in peace. On the 15th day, choose silence. 1 hour of no talking, no listening, no thinking, silence, just medicine and feeling. For silence is the language the body understands best. The nervous system. When you are silent, you can hear the song of your cells. Calming on the 20th day, learn your body begins to synchronize its rhythm. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means returning to life the right to arrange itself. If you are holding too much worry, blame, regret, whisper gently, I release. Then exhale slowly, imagining all heavy energies dissolving out of your body and drifting away with your breath. When you release, the endocrine system cools, the heart widens, the blood flows smoothly. Letting go is the deepest form of healing. On the 25th day, smile to yourself for no reason. A smile is the biological signal of trust. When you smile, the body understands there is no danger. The cells immediately shift into regeneration. That is why children are always healthy. They smile for no reason. When you smile, the parasympathetic system activates, cortisol drops, endorphins rise. One genuine smile a day is the most powerful free medicine you can give yourself. On the 30th day, perform the ritual of rebirth. Sit still, close your eyes, place one hand on your heart, one on your belly, one on your forehead. Inhale deeply 3 times. Exhale slowly. Whisper softly, I thank this body for walking with me. I am sorry for the times I forgot you. I love you. I forgive me. I allow every cell within me to rejoice again. Then remain silent. In that moment, you may feel a gentle warmth spreading through your body. That is the sign of renewal, not in concept, but in biology. The cells are truly opening, rejoicing because finally you have returned. The 30-day ritual is not about changing the body, but about changing the way you speak to it. When you speak with love, the body becomes an ally, not a battlefield. Every cell is a small soul, loyal and devoted. They work for you even when you do not believe in them. They ask for only one thing, acknowledgement. When acknowledged, they rejoice. When they rejoice, they shine. And when they shine, you become light itself. Rebirth does not come from outside, but from the decision to return inward. When you slow down, give thanks more, release more gently, you begin the deepest regeneration, not just of the body, but of the soul. Old habits dissolve, limited beliefs fall away, and a new being is born, not different, but truer, brighter, more original. Remember, the body does not need you to be perfect, only honest. Honest with your feelings, honest with your needs, honest with the light calling you from within. When you are honest, energy no longer blocks. When energy flows, life flows. When life flows, miracles happen. From today onward, call each day a step of return. Each breath is a new beginning. Each cell is a tiny beam of light singing a song of joy. Allow the body to live within that music. Allow the soul to dance in it. And when you complete the 30 days, you will not only have a stronger body, but a new consciousness, the consciousness of one who understands. Life does not need to be held, only loved. And when you love, every cell in you sings the immortal refrain, I rejoice in being alive. There comes a moment to which every healing journey arrives, the moment when you no longer search, no longer need more answers, no longer ask how to believe, because you have become that belief itself. Everything you have ever read, heard, or practiced gathers into one single awareness. The word, the faith, and the vision are not three separate paths, but three beats of the